Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And it is my absolute honor to give you an advance look at the Berserk Deluxe Edition, Volume 14 from Dark Horse Comics. So, please stay tuned. And welcome back, everybody. This is the Berserk Deluxe Edition, Volume 14. It is probably one of my most anticipated books this year, but also one that I wasn't looking forward to because this also means that this is the last of Miura's work that we're going to have in Deluxe Edition. Of course, the story will continue with Miura's ideas, but it just won't be the same. And as of right now, we don't know if they're going to continue the Deluxe Editions. I believe that's all up to the license holder and, of course, Dark Horse and the estate. But we got a while before we get there because these are 3 tankobons in one. So a big thank you to the folks at Dark Horse for sending us an advanced copy of this Deluxe Edition. This Deluxe Edition is due out everywhere on November 21st or 22nd, depending on where you get your books. I know I did a little YouTube short, a little TikTok as soon as I got this, because it was bittersweet. As I was opening it up, it reminded me of all the memories I had with Berserk, even though, you know, it's nostalgia, right? Even though it's a really dark story. I'm going to look at this while I talk about that. But the reason so many people found my channel on YouTube was because Dark Horse was kind enough to reach out to me to do an advance look at the very first Deluxe Edition. I have been reviewing manga from magazines for years, and they had my contact. It was so awesome. They reached out to me through a phone call, and they asked, would you like to have an advance copy of Berserk Deluxe 1? And with, I don't think I even let them finish their sentence, and I was like, yes, please. And a lot of my viewers, maybe some of you watching right now, found my channel because of that Deluxe Edition first look. So it is a complete honor to do this one, a first look at this book. So we are back to the classic look. This is exactly what we've gotten out of every single one of the volumes. Matter of fact, you can see them down there, except for, I think, volumes 6 and 7 are missing because Tina's got those. She's reading these for the first time, and I'm so envious. You can see we still have the ribbon. You can see that we still have the curved spine, and of course these are stickers with the ISBN, $49.99. This does come shrink wrap, and of course it comes with the leaflet right here. Deep Within the Nightmare, Deluxe Edition Volume 14, the best manga ever. Toy Fair. Yeah, Toy Fair. You and everybody else. The ISBN, and of course the retail price being $49.99. But the most important thing is this is mature content. 18 plus, so keep that in mind. I think I've told a lot of my viewers that in the past. And these are just stickers, these parental advisory. For some reason, I keep them there. I don't know why. So collected in here are the final 2 volumes of Berserk, 40 and 41. These are the last 2, and this being the final one that Kentaro Miura worked on. And also the guidebook, which I'll show what it is in here. Now, before I even crack this open, I am going to go ahead and warn you, there's going to be spoilers. Because I feel like I need to talk about this. And I usually try to restrict myself to doing overviews without going into spoilers so people can be surprised. But this one here is very, very near and dear to my heart. And I feel like I can't do a proper overview of this one without talking about why I love this. So, yeah, fair warning, spoilers moving forward. All right, let's get started. Okay, let's go ahead and crack this open. It is read like all the other Berserk Deluxe Editions and tankobons in the right to left format like they were printed, like most manga, or maybe all manga is printed in Japan. You have the double-sided pull-out posters here that were featured in volumes 40 and 41 of the tankobon. And it just makes me sad that that will be the last of those, the Berserk Deluxe Edition. I mean, the last from Miura, right? This probably going to be repeating myself a lot here, but hey, this is a big in memory of. Here are your table contents. So Berserk 40, 41, and included in here is Berserk Official Guidebook in page 333. The credits to the translators and digital art, and of course, like all the other previous volumes, a recap as to who the characters are and what is happening here. So, we're finally off the boat. I don't know how many times I've joked about that, but we're finally off the boat, and something huge happens. And I'm glad that it was Miura that got to tell this particular story. I'm glad that it wasn't just his ideas, he actually got to draw them. And when we get to the end, we can talk a little bit more about the art, but he actually got to finish this part out. And to me, I just love that about it. So these are deluxe, right? Meaning that they're in oversized format, and to kind of give you an idea of how much bigger, here's the tankobon, and here is the deluxe edition. The deluxe edition is using this thick matte paper, whereas the tankobons usually use like this, not quite newsprint, but not this nice quality thick paper. These particular creatures are back from the past. I think some people had issues with that because of the way they were shaped, but come on, we're talking about Berserk here. And of course, the translation of the sound effects are done within the panel. And yes, we are in the mind of Casca. So again, I'm going to be talking about spoilers. This is where Lady Farnese and Shirky, or however you pronounce, all these years, I don't think I've ever had quite somebody tell me how to pronounce it, because everybody pronounces her name differently. But at this point, I don't really care. Like, this is just the way that I pronounced it in my head. But they are in the mind of Casca, and they're trying to rescue her. Because if you remember, ever since the eclipse, Casca has been destroyed mentally with all the things that have happened. And within her mind, they find this strange dog. So they're going through like her memories of all the things as the way she remembers. Of course, they're twisted and they're a little bit darker. But what they're trying to do, the whole reason they came to Elfheim was so they can cure her, that they can make her and rebuild her brain the way that she was before the eclipse, the way that we all remember her, badass warrior, a leader, and a woman that just would not give up. I do want to point things out like this as I look through here. The beauty of these deluxe editions is that they are sewn bound, so they have sewn binding, and it makes beautiful spread pages like this just you appreciate it more because you get more of the artwork. Whereas the tankobon, you lose so much of the art because just the way that this is glued binding. This doesn't even look like an eclipse. This looks more like the Eye of Sauron, honestly, and you definitely, no matter how much you try to pull the pages apart, you cannot see that. Whereas here, it's Guts' face, and this is a complete circle, not the Eye of Sauron. So there are flashbacks here that are going to remind you exactly what's happened to Casca. Again, told through her perspective with some changes and some really dark things you're going to be reliving through here. One of my favorite things about this particular mind trip, or this trip inside of Casca, has been this dog that has been leading them around, like pulling this coffin. And this dog, of course, is revealed to be kind of like the symbol of Guts, right? Like he is the Guts persona. He even gets the Berserker armor too. That's so freaking badass. I'm surprised Figuarts hasn't announced a toy of that yet, because I can't wait for those to come out. But inside you get to see everything. I mean, everything is metaphorical, everything is a vision, and you see like a doll of Casca herself. You see a chibi-sized Casca, because it's kind of what she had to do to protect herself. There's so much beauty and wonderful imagery in here. As dark as the story is, there's also a sense of hope. Throughout this journey in her head, they're putting her together, this doll version of Casca, that by the end of it, they finally add the final piece to her, and she is restored. Now, you don't know exactly what that meant, but as you were reading this in the Tankobon, Berserk is a title that I respect. Like, I don't get digital copies of it. It's a title that I can wait, because there's a huge difference in reading it like this in a physical format, or the way like this instead of digital. I don't know, it's just something about the blacks, the contrast. It's just beautiful to own it like this. So we didn't know where this was going to go, right? Like, but she's restored. By the end of the 40th volume, Casca's back, and she's speaking to Farnese, and she's speaking to Shirky, and She's like, it's nice to meet you. Ivalera, the little fairy, even though they've been taking care of her, she remembers a lot of things. However, she's divided. She's like, there's somebody I want to see. There's someone I have to go and meet. And it just brings, I don't know about you, but oh my gosh, this story brought just tears to my eyes thinking about this reunion. For a lot of people, the journey began with the deluxe edition. For some, began with the Tonkobons that came out. I believe it was in 2003 because I got to review it for the magazine in America, right? For me, I have been waiting for this moment since 1998 when I had bootleg copies of Berserk, and it ended on that huge cliffhanger. And then I got to play the Dreamcast game, which had Casca running around like the mind of a child. I have been waiting for this moment for over a decade. Oh my gosh, has it been 2 decades? 2 decades. So for her to be speaking, it just brought a tear to my eye. And then this moment right here, there's someone I want to see. I lost it because I didn't know how she was going to react meeting Guts. And of course, she lets out this big scream because all these flashbacks. And, we had to wait, right? Because we had to wait until volume 41 to see that resolution. Then we get to see the outside world of what Griffith is doing. But is it really Griffith? Who exactly is this? And then by volume 41 is when things get a little complicated, but so much is cleared up. So in this, we start off with Griffith, his kingdom. It starts off like a Senate meeting, right? These people are meeting. And then we get to see more of Casca. Guts is staying away from her because he fears that she's like afraid of him. There's something about him that just makes her break down and scream. We get to see more of the little witches in this Elfheim, and we get to see more of Shirky's friends. The Skull Knight has a story in here. Oh, it's so freaking amazing. Guts is learning to control more of the Berserker armor. We see that backstory that we've been wanting to see with the Skull Knight and how he went through the same thing that Guts did, except of course the God Hand looked a little bit different when he was doing this. So we get that, tidbits of, oh, it definitely was the Skull Knight story that he was telling Guts, and he was that fallen king. But the biggest thing in here is the clarification as to who this child is. This child that appears from time to time that has been following Casca and gang for a while. And as it turns out, and as many of us have guessed, this child turns out to be the child of Casca, right? And we knew about this. We've known about this for years, that she had a child. And how is it connected to this Griffith? Not Femto, Griffith that has taken over kingdoms. Well, it turns out that child is Griffith. And I don't know about you all, but that completely blew me away. One thing I do want to note is that when Kentaro Miura passed away, it really feels like towards the end pages here, like this is definitely Miura with a lot of his background artists, doing that beautiful, detailed art that we love so much. But by the time we get to the end here, when the big revelation comes, and don't get me wrong, it's still beautiful, it just felt like I think Miura had passed by this point, that maybe this is just the breakdowns that he did, that somebody came in and finished after he had passed. And there's nothing wrong with that because, well, I mean, that's the way we're going to be reading these stories. So it ends on the cliffhanger that it is Griffith. Griffith is that child. But even these last few pages just didn't quite feel like Miura. It's beautiful. And even the cover, honestly, when I saw the cover, I don't know, there's just something about the colors. It had that 90s flair to it. The computer, not computer generated colors, but the computer separated colors. That's what I wanted to say. And this is it. And then, of course, Kentaro Miura, 1966 to 2021. I still love this story to this day. And we'll talk about the guidebook here in a second. To this day, I love this story. And to me, I think I would have been okay if this is the way Berserk ended, right? Because to me, it's the story of Guts and Casca and his companions and the struggle to keep moving every day, to keep waking up and keep moving no matter what comes at you. And I feel like that's kind of where we left, right? Like the story never ends this way if we're left on a cliffhanger. But as we all know, the story does continue. They go into a little bit of detailed information here about the passing of Miura. And it's a beautiful note, you know. Thank you for enjoying Berserk, for giving it your ongoing support. And this letter right here from Young Animal was also released in the original tankobon right here. So it's a beautiful, you know, all of us coming together and mourning Miura. And them reading all the letters and all the wonderful thank yous to not just Young Animal where this was originally published, but also the family, right? They lost a family member. It's awful. Okay, so weird to talk about this. As you all know, they leave the color covers all the way in the back. What we have next is something that originally when they were doing these, I don't think was planned. I mean, there's no way. But what we have is the collection of the guidebook. And what's really interesting about the guidebook is that it takes us all the way to volume 38. We do have the color illustrations that originated in the guidebook. And then we get the official guidebook here. So the table of contents right here, where you're going to find each of the pages. And it's a wonderful book. Like, it's a wonderful companion. But of course, the idea was to put volumes 40, 41, and 42 here. But since he passed, they wanted to keep all of Miura's stuff together. So I'm glad that they did this. And then, of course, when I assume they're going to continue. This is just too big of a thing to stop here. That they will continue publishing Berserk in deluxe editions. But, I mean, we still don't have a volume 42 of the tankobon. So I think it's going to be a while before we get to volume 42, 43, and 44, and then putting them together in one of these deluxe editions. So what this does is this goes through the world of Berserk, and it is a wonderful reminder of things that have happened. It catches you up to speed with everything up until volume 38, so please keep that in mind. So it doesn't have the new stuff. It goes through the character portraits with with artwork from the actual manga. So you have characters in here like Serpico, you have Lady Farnese, you have their abilities, their histories, the ideologies, and there is Isidro right there, and Shirky. I wish they would have told me how to pronounce it. Ivalera and Flora. All these characters that we have met, Roderick. Some that you may have forgotten about because there's lesser known characters through here. There are some interesting translations through here. Like, for example, the Skull Knight. Let me see if I can find him. I think he's back here with the Astral Plane folks. Yeah, so he should be here with the Astral World. So it is separated between friends and allies to fantasy creatures, and then of course the Astral World with the God Hand, and you get to find more about the God Hand or whatever is whatever up to volume 38, like the mysterious black-haired boy or the Moon Boy, as some of us dubbed it. But this is where, yeah, so the Skull Knight is here. However, in the translation, they call him the Skeleton Knight, which is really interesting. And that stuff doesn't bother me. I get it. They were working on this. Maybe I think it was a separate team that was working on this than the actual ongoing manga, as far as the translations. But that's the kind of stuff to expect here. There's lands, or not lands, but settings and castles in here too. And then the diagnosis of the apostles. This is my favorite part about this. This is the interviews with Kentaro Miura, talking about where he got inspirations from. And I think some people know, but just in case you didn't, like a lot of it comes from books like Fist of the North Star, but he also talks about movies and things that he was into that inspired him. And it's not just one interview. There's several, or a couple of interviews here. This is the workspace. Damn. And then the rough sketch settings and gallery, which have been collected before in the art book of Berserk. However, that art book has not been translated into English. And I'm sure it will be one day. I mean, we are talking about Berserk. Because I have both the anime art book and the manga art book. This right here is the digest of volume 39 material, things that he's going to see. And then sneak peek of Elf Island chapter storyboard. So this is the breakdown that we were talking about. what's inside the coffin, which, as we found out, is that doll. And the covers, which is volume 40 and 41, and the guidebook. And Kentaro Miura. I've talked about the binding, I've talked about the paper stock, and I've talked about the story, and how I think it's a good ending to me. Am I happy that they're going to continue it? Yeah, of course. And this is just my personal feelings, which I really don't do in overviews. I tend to just talk about the stories, and keep my feelings to the side, or how I like stories or don't like stories, because I like for people to find out for themselves how they feel about a certain book. So this is one of the few times I'm going to share my thoughts, and that is, it is still my favorite manga. Does the fact that it never ended and Kentaro Miura never got to tell his version of the ending, does that ruin the score that this is still my favorite manga? No, I don't think so. No, it doesn't. I don't think. And of course, later on, there'll be manga that I fall in love with that will be, to me, up here with Berserk. But Berserk was different. Berserk was special. It was the very first article I wrote as a review for a magazine. It was the video that brought so many people to my channel, and I got so many people into Berserk. I don't think there's anything else that's going to be like that. Maybe X-Men, of course. Yeah, X-Men, Uncanny Omar, right? But Berserk will always hold a special place in my heart. The stories, the characters, and the struggle will continue. And he didn't get to finish it. Other people will, with his ideas and the way that he wanted the story to wrap up. It's kind of like losing a musician, right? Like somebody in a band. That somebody will step in. Somebody else could be Freddie Mercury. Somebody else can be singing the vocals of John Lennon. But it won't be that person. So it will always be a little different. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this deluxe edition, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcon at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and build and, of course, big overview with spoilers of the Berserk Deluxe Edition, Volume 14 from Dark Horse Comics. Let me know in the comments down below if you have been picking up the Berserk series in deluxe editions, or if you have been picking them up in the tankobon size. And, of course, as we wait for further news of the continuation of the deluxe editions, is that something that you wish they would continue or stop at the Miura stuff? So let me know in the comments down below. But I can't believe I'm saying this, but as of right now, this is the last one. So until next time, till the next deluxe editions, it's Trigun. Hopefully one day we'll have more like Appleseed. Would love to see that collected, or Orion, or the Dominion Tank Police, and of course Lone Wolf and Cub. Maybe I do need to make my top 10 most wanted deluxe editions of manga. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. If you have any questions, leave them down below. We are on Patreon and Spreadshop, amazing ways to support the channel. And all I can say is, thank you, Miura. Thank you.